Santa Fe is one of the oldest and most historic cities in America. It has an incredible art scene, unique food, and it's a fantastic spot for a weekend adventure. In this video, we're showing you how to spend 36 hours exploring the city, visiting famous landmarks, museums, local food, and just showing you how to make the most of your time in Santa Fe. Let's jump in. We did the quick flight from Southern California to Albuquerque, grabbed a rental car, and an hour later we were arriving in Santa Fe. We made it to Santa Fe, first stop, Meow Wolf. If you're not familiar with Meow Wolf, then let me give you a little bit of an introduction. It's basically an immersive art experience that feels like you're walking inside of a dream. It's not like a traditional museum. You open doors, you crawl through tunnels, you go down slides, you find secret passageways, you touch things, and you just explore.
They said that this is a very interactive exhibit, so if you don't touch, feel, and open, you actually miss the whole experience. Whoa. This is what dreams are made of.
It's honestly one of those places that you have to see for yourself to truly understand.
I hid in a dryer one time playing hide and go seek, and no one found me for like an hour.
It's a short slide.
Sure, yeah.
So Meow Wolf started in 2008 with a small group of Santa Fe artists who were creating DIY art shows in warehouses. It got so popular that they opened their first permanent installation in 2016.
Make sure you wear your stretchy pants when you come in here.
I'm always wearing my stretchy pants. I don't have any other kind to wear. This thing is called the House of Eternal Return, and it centers around a story about a family and sci-fi and mystery and all sorts of stuff. But honestly, both the times I've come here, I've never really bothered to learn the story. I just love wandering around and seeing what there is to see. It's pretty cool. Apparently you can see concerts here now too, and they're setting up for one. I would love to see a concert here. I feel like it'd be a psychedelic experience, and they actually had one happening that night, but we had other things to do. In case you're wondering, the entire experience was built by over 100 artists, and it was actually an old bowling alley before it became this.
Want a drink?
And then look at this. It's like a dinosaur bones, and you can play them like music. I may be musical, but be gentle. I'm a 10,000-year-old specimen. This is just scratching the surface of the things you can do here, and we were here for 2 hours, right until it closed for the concert. During that time, we interacted with the crow, we played arcade games, we touched different things, explored different rooms, and we probably didn't see all of it. Check out this room. This may be one of the most favorite ones we've seen. Wow, look at that guy. What is that? Do note that this can be expensive at around $30 to $50 a person depending on when you're going, and be sure to stop by the store on the way out. There's some crazy stuff in there. So as we're leaving, we're greeted by an amazing New Mexico sunset, especially with this spider right in front. I mean, they always say that New Mexico sunsets are the best, but I think there's something about seeing it with a spider or with a big robot that just takes it to the next level. So I haven't been there in about 6 years, and I've been to basically all of the other ones around the United States. And coming back here, it's really cool just to see how almost simple and like folk art it is walking around there. It's not as overwhelming. It's more just the art than it is kind of the commercialization. So that was really cool to see that one again.
Yeah, I think it's so fun to just wander around, but this one doesn't feel like you're going to get lost constantly. You kind of loop back around and are able to actually see more of it versus just running through and walking through rooms and having no idea where you're going.
Yeah, you get to experience a little bit more here, which is cool. Now we're heading on, we're gonna check into our hotel and then go to dinner. Since we had spent a lot more time there than we were anticipating, we just went down to the plaza and headed to our dinner reservation. We're going to have an amazing dinner at one of our favorite places, but tomorrow we're gonna get a Frito pie at the Five and Dime. Are you so excited?
You know, of like 5 things I can think about wanting to eat here, that does not make the list. But we'll see how it is.
Last time I was here, I don't remember walking around at nighttime. The plaza looks beautiful with these lights. I don't know if that's year round or not. It's February, so maybe it's the tail end of Christmas, but really cool. We comment on this a lot in the video, but this was actually a great time to visit as it was right before spring break and there wasn't a lot of people in the city, so it felt almost like we had it to ourselves. That is until you go to popular restaurants like The Shed, and there's a 2-hour wait if you hadn't made reservations, which luckily we had done in advance. It's a little bit dark, but Amy got the pollo adobo. There's garlic bread, which is just a tradition that they've done since the 50s. And then I got the one taco, one enchilada plate, which is their most famous. Alright, so this is the famous thing. It's a red chili enchilada that they have here. It's just a cheese enchilada with onions. And it is very cheesy, as you can tell. But, man, that is so good. It's smoky, it's spicy. I like the kind of diced onion inside of it. That's not for everybody. I like that in an enchilada like this. And then the cheese kind of mellows it out. It's very strong. If you're not a huge fan of spice, though, it's a little bit too spicy for Amy.
So little bit. The chicken's really good.
It's funny that they serve garlic bread, but our waiter told us it's been a tradition since they opened over 50 years ago. Because it was spicy, we grabbed dessert as well, and we decided to go with this custard that they're famous for, and then this chocolate cake that the waiter recommended. We're here in an off time, so normally all of this would be filled, this whole patio, and they said it's about a 2-hour wait generally as well, so definitely get a reservation in advance.
And just one more reminder, it's a little spicy.
From there we did the 8-minute walk back to our hotel called the Inn of the Governors, where we finally checked in and got assigned our room. The Inn of the Governors is one of the classic hotels built in the mid-1960s right near the Santa Fe Plaza.
It's so cute. Love it. Love all the style.
While there are many more historic hotels in the city, this one was well priced and had free parking, so we could just park our car and walk all around downtown Santa Fe. Before calling it a night, I want to tell you about this week's sponsor, Suri, which is a product that I added to my travel bag about 6 months ago, and it's been a great addition. I was excited when they reached out to sponsor a video. If you travel a lot, then you know the struggle of keeping your routine together on the road. Most of the travel toothbrushes I've tried are bulky or have a battery that will die mid-trip. In came Suri, and their electric toothbrush changed the way I pack. The toothbrush has a 40-day battery life, and it lasted for the full month that I was in Asia without having to worry about charging it at all. Ever seen a better place to brush your teeth? And the toothbrush itself is just good. It has a powerful dentist-approved sonic clean. Add to that the fact that it has a UV traveling case which allows you to kill bacteria and keep everything hygienic just by the press of a button when you're done brushing. Lastly, the brush heads are plant-based, and they even have a free recycling program where you can mail the used heads back to them in a prepaid envelope. If you're interested in picking up one of these for yourself, you can use my code THROUGH15 for a 15% off discount on your purchase. You'll probably see why I love it so much. Alright, now on to day 2 in Santa Fe. Starting our morning with 2 unique breakfast spots. They're right next to each other basically, about a 2-minute walk away. The first, breakfast burritos, the second, donuts. Known as El Chile Toreado, this is a breakfast burrito place that's supposedly one of the best in the nation. I mean, it's surprising to see the amount of awards this won for such a small food truck, and I was very excited to try this. Wow, look at that. That has a whole bunch of good stuff in it, and it comes with a red and a green sauce on the side. Excitement level?
Pretty high.
Look at that cheese coming off. Cheers.
There's so many different flavors. I love all the meat, the cheese, the chili.
Yeah, there's a little bit of green chili in there with all of the different meats. There's 3 different types of meats in the one that they recommended, and then there's potatoes and cheese. It is a lot going on. One of the best breakfast burritos I've probably ever had. I can't think of something that's been put together as well as this one's been put together.
I agree, and I don't think I could eat more than half of it.
Half was the right call, especially because we're going to go get a donut after that to kind of, soak up the grease a little bit. Definitely don't skip this spot. Less than a 5-minute walk away is a donut shop called Whoo's Donuts, which is our next stop. This donut shop has been here since 2015, and what sets it apart is how they're trying to create donuts that are inspired by New Mexican flavors. Their most popular donuts utilize blue corn, and they use things like peon nuts in some of their flavors. They're known for their blue corn donuts here. This is blue corn lavender, and this is blue corn maple pecan.
Breakfast burritos to blue corn donuts. It definitely has a different flavor than like a flour-based one. I really like the flavor of the blue corn.
Maple pecan blue corn donut. The blue corn kind of has maybe a little earthy, maybe a little bit of nutty, but still just a subtly sweet flavor. It's a lot different, so you have to come in expecting something a lot different than a normal donut, much more crispy than that kind of melts in your mouth normal donut that you would have, but I'd say this is very good and well worth trying. Leaving the amazing Santa Fe food behind for a little bit, we headed over to explore the New Mexico state capitol. I'm a huge fan of Capitol buildings, and this is one of the most unique as it was actually built in 1966 after the previous Capitol burned down. It's the only circular Capitol in the United States, and right in the middle, it's beautiful to see the stained glass in the windows letting in the natural light above you. The Capitol also doubles as an art museum, and there are over 600 pieces on display on the multiple floors, so definitely take your time to wander around and see them all. Also, side note, it's the highest state capitol in the United States as it sits at about 7,200 feet above sea level. So we drove about 5 minutes outside of the city to an area known as Museum Hill, which has some of the most popular museums in Santa Fe. We're going to check out 2 of them. So the 2 main museums here is the Museum of International Folk Art and the Museum of Indian Arts and Culture. We headed to the Museum of International Folk Art first, and of all the museums in Santa Fe, this is one of my favorite. It celebrates folk art from communities all over the world, and it opened in 1953. When I was there, the person working there told me it's widely considered the largest museum of folk art in the entire world, and that the museum holds over 100,000 objects in its collection. One of the most interesting parts of the museum is the wing that has all of the miniature displays. I mean, they have miniatures of things representing entire villages, festivals, and celebrations from across the globe. This is by far my favorite part of the museum, as they have all these kind of dioramas, I guess you would call them, I'm not sure, showing all these intricate scenes, and it is massive. I mean, this is one of those sections that you're going to want to dedicate some time to. Some of these displays have hundreds of the tiny miniatures inside of them, each one doing something interesting and well worth looking at. I mean, I've been here twice, and I bet you could be here 100 times and still see something new. After leaving the Folk Art Museum, you can go right over to the Museum of Indian Arts and Cultures.
Pro tip, if you're visiting at least 3 museums like we are today, get the Culture Pass.
When we were there, the 3 museums we visited were $12 each, so we saved about $6 with this pass. But if you're exploring more of New Mexico, there are more different places that you get access to with the Culture Pass outside of Santa Fe and Albuquerque. In terms of the Museum of Indian Arts and Culture, this museum traces its origins back to the early 1900s when archaeologists began collecting artifacts related to all of the different indigenous cultures in the Southwest. It's another fascinating museum with exhibits focusing on history, pottery, weaving, jewelry, and even other traditional art forms. We spent about 45 minutes wandering around and taking it in, but we had been to this museum before as well, and so we decided to head on. Alright, we're leaving Museum Hill and we're heading to some art galleries. If you took the time to drive out to Museum Hill, then the next logical stop should be Canyon Road, which is one of the most famous art streets in all of New Mexico and one of the most famous probably in the entire United States. This stretch of road features over 100 art galleries with boutiques and restaurants nestled along the way. It's a dense, walkable area, and many of the galleries are in Adobe-style buildings, so it's just cool to explore. Plus, there are lots of courtyard sculpture gardens outside of the galleries themselves. I think you should make that your new salon chair right there.
Oh man, that would be pretty epic. Not comfortable, but cool looking.
Now, you may think this is not your thing, but I would tell you to give it a try. Of course, if you're in the same tax bracket as me, you're not buying anything here, but it is really cool to walk around and see all of the different galleries and all of the unique art that they have on display.
I could not have that in house with 2 kids.
If I had it in my house, I wouldn't get any work done. I would just sit and stare at it all day long. All right, let's play the game of how much does this piece cost? Are you ready to guess? $17,000. All right, are you ready for your next one? How about this bear? $39,000. Let me know if any of my subscribers would like to send that to me. I'll give you my address. I will say, for the few art galleries that I walked into, the people here were awesome. I've been to areas like this where the people are really pretentious, but that was definitely not the case. They walked around, they talked to me about the artist, showed me interesting pieces, all without expecting me to actually be able to purchase anything. Check out this artist, I'm falling in love with this. Look at the fall colors that he did on this one. This is Barry Thomas. Shout out Barry Thomas, because there's some incredible pieces that he's done here. Even though I can't afford anything in those stores, I still enjoy walking around and looking at all the outdoor sculptures. So probably something you don't want to skip even if you don't think it's your vibe. After breakfast burritos and donuts, Amy is now forcing us to have chocolate.
It's just, I have to have it right now. I didn't have enough this morning.
This is Kakawa Chocolate House, a place that's been one of Amy and I's favorites since we tried it for the first time about 6 years ago. They're famous for their truffles and hot chocolate, and once you walk in, they immediately offer you some hot chocolate to try. If you're a chocolate fan, this is one of those places where it's really hard to figure out what to get, as there's so many amazing things in the display case. There's great hot chocolate, you can do a hot chocolate flight, they even make their own horchata. I mean, just go in and see what your vibe is in the moment. Alright, we went big. We got 3 ounces of hot chocolate, the one that we liked the most. We got a couple different truffles. Amy got a horchata and a Topo Chico. When you're in Santa Fe, man, you gotta eat. The food is part of the travel here. It's just too good. It is so good.
I'm just filming and eating truffles.
That's usually Amy's job, filming and eating truffles.
It's a really hard life.
After taking down literally everything that we got there, we headed back down towards the plaza, parked at our hotel, and set out to explore some of the historic sites. We started by visiting San Miguel Church, which is actually the oldest church structure in the United States, with the walls and altar being built in 1610. There's lots of historic photos in the interior, and it was actually constructed with adobe bricks made from mud and straw. It was damaged during the Pueblo Revolt of 1680, but after Spain returned to the region in 1690, it was built and restored. One of the most unique things is the windows up by the altar that allow you to see the adobe steps leading up to the sanctuary from 1610. It's a small church, but there was a docent present to answer all of the different questions that we had about it and to give us more history, and it's definitely a spot that's worth exploring while you're in Santa Fe. It says if you ring the bell, you're going to make it back to Santa Fe. So, you picture the walls there about 6 feet? And then right next to the church and across the narrow street is supposedly the oldest house in the United States. I didn't even realize that there's a battle between oldest houses in the United States, and there's an entire paper on why they're the oldest right when you enter the museum. The house is free to enter, and it's believed that it dates back to 1646, with some historians believing that parts of the structure may even include remnants of early adobe Pueblo buildings. It's pretty small, and there's not really a lot to explore, with just some artifacts from the time period in the different rooms. So here it is, the debated oldest house in the United States. There's lots of information inside about why they claim this is the oldest, but there's other ones that claim it as well. Still, it's free, it's right next to the chapel, and it's something you should definitely see. Now we're heading on to the Loretto Chapel, which is one of the most interesting places to see in Santa Fe. From here, it's only about a 5-minute walk to the Loretto Chapel, which was built in the late 1800s and is famous for its miraculous spiral staircase. The Reader's Digest version is that the chapel was completed and there was no access to the choir area, so the sisters prayed for 9 days asking for help, and then a mysterious carpenter reportedly appeared, built the staircase, and disappeared without payment or recognition. Here's what it looked like before they installed the banisters. Can you imagine trying to walk up that? That would be pretty terrifying. It was especially amazing because it was built without modern tools and without a center support or the use of any nails. It's one of the most famous tourist attractions in Santa Fe, and definitely something you're going to want to see while you're exploring the plaza area. If you still want to see more churches, then check out the Cathedral, which is also near the plaza and was built in the 1870s. What's interesting about this is that it doesn't have the traditional adobe style that we've seen throughout Santa Fe, and it's more Romanesque in its design, so it stands out in the city and it's a popular place for photos. It may seem like we're doing the same kind of things in Santa Fe, but there's basically 3 buckets in the city. There's food, which is definitely my favorite thing in Santa Fe. Then there's the shopping and the art, and then there's history, so the museums and the chapels. Those are kind of like the main things you do in the city. Heading on from there, we made the 5-minute walk back to the Santa Fe Plaza, which is basically the center of the downtown Santa Fe experience. So we're back in the plaza, and I have to say, it doesn't look as cool as it did last night, especially in the winter when the grass isn't really growing, but it's still a nice meeting place in the city. This is the Palace of the Governors. If you're looking for some interesting local artists to support, this is another good area to walk around and try to see what they have for sale. Walking back across the plaza, we figured it was time to eat again, so we headed to the Five and Dime, which is famous for a true Santa Fe delicacy, the Frito pie. The front of the store is a normal tourist experience with everything you could possibly imagine from Santa Fe and New Mexico for sale, but then when you head to the back and go to the snack bar, you can get the Frito pie, which was the only thing on the menu that they were actually selling the day I was there. Wow. Look at that thing. So apparently this is a Santa Fe staple. It's literally just Fritos with a red chili on top and then cheese and diced onions on top of that. And it was featured by Anthony Bourdain, who ate it while he was here. Apparently he said that it was a canned chili, so he didn't like it as much, but they assured me that they've been making it since the 1960s. All right, here we go. I mean, look at that. It's just straight health food. I'm not gonna tell you that's not good. Crispy Cheetos with a little bit of saltiness, the spicy red chili, the cheese that just melts on the top, makes it kind of gooey, and then that kind of bitter diced onions on top of that. And before you think I'm the only crazy person who's ordered this, there's been 4 different people who have ordered it in the last 5 minutes since we've been here. So, cheers. Amy is really dreading trying this. She does not want to try it, but I told her she has to because it's a travel experience.
Yeah, I mean, chili and Fritos are not anything I ever cared to eat. I feel like Pop should be here. I think he'd give you more of an exciting review than I'm about to give you. Yep, it tastes like spicy chili and crunchy Fritos.
2 thumbs up.
Heartburn.
If you come to Santa Fe, you have to try that, and you have to let me know what you think in the comments. Amy told me that if she went to Five and Dime with me, I had to take her to a coffee shop. So right next door, there's coffee. Known as 35 North Coffee, this spot was on the 2nd floor, and we got a coffee and a matcha, and it was just nice to be able to sit out on the patio and look out over the city. From here, Amy and I decided to split up as she wanted to go shop the different boutiques, and I wanted to go see a few more museums. Starting with the New Mexico Museum of Art, and these 2 museums that I'm showing you were both included in the Culture Pass. This museum is over 100 years old and it was opened in 1917, and it sits right next to the plaza in the heart of the city. There's also a Georgia O'Keeffe painting that you can see on display here. So unfortunately I'm here when half the museum is closed, so there's not really much to see, but it was included on the Culture Pass, so I figured I'd stick my head in. The other one included on the Culture Pass is the New Mexico History Museum, which is actually one of the best museums in Santa Fe and probably my personal favorite. It's essentially laid out chronologically, and it tells the history of New Mexico all the way from the indigenous cultures through Spanish colonization and into modern times. The exhibits here are really interesting and beautifully laid out, and it's definitely worth exploring. The other really cool aspect of the museum is that it gives you access to the Palace of the Governors. This is one of the most historically important buildings in Santa Fe, with history dating back to the early 1600s when Santa Fe was the capital of Spain's northern New World territory. The preserved building is just another arm of the museum, but it's awesome that they're maintaining it and that you can still explore it today. There are a few history exhibits here, and there is even an exhibit on New Mexico food. My dad and I ate at this restaurant. You can see that in our Texas-New Mexico road trip up here. The other thing I wanted to call out was their exhibit on Zozobra, which is a famous event that happens every year in Santa Fe. The event has been going on for over 100 years, and the people of Santa Fe show up to watch a giant puppet, which is called Old Man Gloom, go up in flames. The idea is simple. They said it's to symbolize the burning away of worries and frustrations and bad memories from the past year, but it looks kind of creepy and awesome at the same time. I don't know, that sounds like kind of a fun time to be in Santa Fe. I might have to come back for a burning one of these years. I think it said that happens in the fall. Leaving the museum, I met back up with Amy and we explored some of the local shops and boutiques. The Rainbow Man is definitely our favorite. It has a ton of cool stuff to see. I mean, everything was pretty much outside of our price range, but it's still fun to walk around and explore. If you're into shopping, this is easily a way you could spend a half or even a full day in Santa Fe, as there are so many different places. I should also note that Santa Fe has the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum, and that she's one of the most famous female painters in all of the United States. Unfortunately, it wasn't open when we were there, but here's some footage the last time we went. Also, this one's not included in the Culture Pass. Alright, we did our shopping and we ate most of the food that we're going to eat, so one of the last things that we're doing is a short hike to watch a famous New Mexico sunset. They said they have the best sunsets in the United States, so we're going to see how it is tonight. Last night's was pretty good. Hopefully tonight's is just as good. Are you complaining about the elevation? Look at where we started right there.
I can feel it a little bit, okay? I was just giving myself a little credit here.
This short hike goes up to the Cross of the Martyrs, and it's about a quarter mile each way with 100 feet of elevation gain. For most people, it should take around 10 to 15 minutes to get to the top on a nice brick-laden path, and it's one of the most popular spots to watch the sunset in Santa Fe, so there's always going to be a bunch of people up there. I feel like I remember this cross being a lot bigger last time I was here. It's pretty small. Last time Amy and I were here, there was 100 people. Apparently this is the time to be in Santa Fe, the end of February. We're the only ones with the sunset. If you're interested, you can learn more about historic Fort Marcy while you're up there. It's right past the cross on the hill above it, and there's nothing to see anymore as it's completely gone, but it was a fort that was built here in 1846, and there's some information that you can read about it. A little information on the cross. It was erected in 1920 to commemorate the Franciscan friars who died during the Pueblo Revolt of 1680. It's one of the best viewpoints in the city for sunset because they don't allow any tall buildings to be built, and you can see for miles out in front of you up here. It is such a beautiful sunset. The only bummer is that there's a crane right next to the sun. Take what you can get though. I have to say, New Mexico sunsets do live up to the hype. And with that, our time in Santa Fe is done. This is an exceptional city, especially if you like food. Tomorrow we are heading on the high road to Taos. You can see that up here when it's posted.
We will see you on the next one.